Good day, viewers. This is Afe Ademola Johnson. I am your biology tutor. So I will be talking about a topic, hormones. Now, when we're talking about hormones, as you have seen displayed, hormones are biochemical substances which are secreted from ductless endocrine glands directly into the transport fluid for onward transmission to their target organs for response to stimuli. Taking this information terminology by terminology, you will discover that there are some difficult words here. Number one, biochemical. When something is biochemical, it means it is gotten from living things. The word bios means life, and chemical substance means it's an organic compound. So, and it is the word secretion. When something is secreted, the word secretion means to be produced and to be released. So, hormones are biochemical substances. They are produced and they are released. Then there is another thing there, ductless. Another one is endocrine gland. When we say gland is any organ that can produce a biochemical substance in the body of an organism. Now, but there are different types of glands. We have the type of gland that is found that its secretions are exposed to the external environment. Those glands are called exocrine glands. For example, you have the sweat gland in the skin that releases sweat. And once the sweat is produced, it comes outside of the body. So another exocrine gland is the salivary gland in the mouth, where you have the sublingual, submandibular, parotid, and the orbital glands. They release saliva. And once you open your mouth and throw them out, you discover that secretion comes out of the body. That is exocrine. But hormones are not produced by exocrine glands. There are other. Now, it is rather produced by endocrine, the gland that its secretion is emptied inside the body. So then another thing here, another type of gland we have in the body is duct gland. A duct gland is a gland that has a passageway through which its biochemical substance gets to its target organ. Its biochemical substance gets to its target organ through the what? The duct. The duct means a passage. Example of that, you can talk about the testes. The testes of a male human being is an example of duct gland because it produces sperm, and the sperm gets to the penis through a duct called the sperm duct. Then, because of the presence of sperm duct, the testis is a what? Is a duct gland. Now, look at the ovary of the female reproductive system. When they release egg, the egg gets to the uterus, passing through the what? The oviduct. Therefore, that uterus can be regarded as a what? As a duct gland. But hormones are not produced by duct glands, but rather they are produced by glands that do not have passage through which their chemicals can reach their target organs. So, but the question now is that now that anytime they are not produced, they get to the target organs via the bloodstream because they will be released to mix with the bloodstream. And as the bloodstream flows through the body, they flow past the target organ, and they deposit hormones there. So, and once hormone gets to the target organ, the body responds to stimulus. And so, put all this together, you say hormones are biochemical substances which are secreted from ductless endocrine glands directly into the transport fluid like bloodstream. And when that happens, for onward transmission to their target organ for proper response to stimulus. Then another thing we'll be looking at here, what are the examples of ductless endocrine glands of the body, and where are they located, and what are the hormones that they produce? Now, we have the pituitary gland, and it is located in the head region. We have the thyroid gland and the parathyroid gland. That one is located in the neck region. We have the pancreas and the adrenal gland. That one is located at the upper abdominal cavity. We have the gonads, such as the ovary in female and testes in male. Those ones are located at the lower abdominal cavity. Let me show you a picture of a human being and relate it to the various locations of ductless endocrine glands in the body. You will see from here, this is the head region, the brain. From the brain, now, this is the pituitary gland here. The pituitary gland is located under the forebrain in the head region. Under the forebrain in the head region. This is the forebrain. The forebrain that is made up of the cerebrum, the olfactory lobe, and the thalamus and the hypothalamus. So you can see that the pituitary gland is located very close to the hypothalamus. You can see the hypothalamus here. The hypothalamus is also under the forebrain. Then the pituitary gland is located very close to it. So that is it. Then in the neck region, the one you call the Adam's apple. Now in biology we call it thyroid gland. And if you observe very closely, you see some 4 dots, 4 particles, 1, 2, 3, 4. Those ones are called the parathyroid gland. Then that is in the neck region. Then apart from that, you will see that this is the abdomen. This is the abdomen. This is the abdomen. So in the upper abdomen, you have the pancreas. This is the pancreas. Then this is on top of the kidney, the 2 kidneys, you have the adrenal gland. So the 2 adrenal glands and the pancreas constitute the what? The ductless endocrine glands that are located at the upper abdominal cavity. Now, at the lower abdominal cavity for a male, you have the testes. The testes. For the female, you have the what? The ovary. Now, let's now go and take these ductless endocrine glands one after the other. Let's talk about the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland is located very close to the hypothalamus, like I've told you, and it is found under the forebrain in the head region. But sometimes I've seen a wide question where they will ask you, which of the following is the reasons? Which of the following is the reason that the pituitary gland is called the master gland? And the answer is that the pituitary gland is called the master gland because its activity controls the activity of other ductless endocrine glands of the body. What do we mean by that? Now, the pituitary gland does not secrete one hormone. It secretes several hormones, about 7 hormones. And some of the hormones secreted by the pituitary gland, their name ends with trophin or trophic hormone. Trophin in the sense that when they are released, their function is to cause other ductless endocrine glands of the body to release their hormones. For example, we have thyroid stimulating hormone. The thyroid stimulating hormone, the target organ of the thyroid stimulating hormone is the thyroid gland. They influence the secretion of hormone called thyroxine by the thyroid gland. Then there is another one called adrenocorticotrophic hormone. This one goes directly to the adrenal cortex gland, and they control the activity of the adrenal cortex gland to produce hormones, glucocorticoid and mineralocorticoid. So that is that. Now, you can now see that pituitary gland is activity control the activity of other ductless endocrine glands of the body, and that is why it's called the master gland. Now we are moving on to see some of the hormones secreted by the pituitary gland. But before we go there, I will tell you that the pituitary gland is like figure 8. It has 2 lobes. It has the upper lobe called the anterior pituitary gland and the posterior lobe called the posterior pituitary gland. Then the anterior pituitary lobes secrete 5 hormones. But I want to tell you that the posterior pituitary lobe does not produce hormones on its own, but rather it stores hormones which are produced by the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus produces some hormones, and then these hormones are what? Stored in the posterior pituitary gland. Now let us look at what I'm talking about here. This is what you are seeing here. You are seeing the pituitary, the arrangement of the pituitary. Now, I said that the pituitary gland is called the what? The master gland. If you see it, you will see some other ductless endocrine glands of the body controlled by the pituitary gland. You will see from here. Now, there is the hormone. Look at here. There's the hormone called thyroid stimulating hormone. Is secreted to go and stimulate the thyroid gland in the neck region to produce its hormone. Then the hormone called adrenocorticotrophic hormone, ACTH, controls the adrenal gland as it tells the adrenal gland to produce glucocorticoid and mineralocorticoid by its cortex. So that is that. So then we will see, look at another one. There's another one called gonadotrophin. The gonadotrophin, like the luteinizing hormone, stimulates the testes to produce hormone testosterone and stimulates the ovary to produce hormone estrogen and progesterone. You can see clearly here that it is true that the pituitary gland controls the activity of other ductless endocrine glands of the body. Now let us look at some of the hormones produced by the anterior pituitary gland. We have the first one is called adrenocorticotrophic hormone. ACTH is the abbreviation. Then the second one is called somatotrophic hormone or somatotrophin. You also call it growth hormone. You can also call it pituitrin. Then the third one is called thyroid stimulating hormone, TSH. And the fourth one is called prolactin. And the fifth one is called gonadotrophin. This gonadotrophin is further divided into two parts. We have the follicle stimulating hormone and you have luteinizing hormone. We are going to talk about that later. Let's talk about adrenocorticotrophic hormone. Adrenocorticotrophic hormone is a steroid hormone. You know, so a lot of people don't know the difference between lipids and fat and oils. I want to tell you, lipid is a class of food and it is subdivided into many classes based on the type of hydrocarbon backbone that is found in the molecule of that lipid. The commonest lipid that we have in secondary school is the fat and oils. That fat and oil is called acylglyceride. Now, there is one special type of hormone, lipid. This one is called steroid. The steroid hormone are those ones that have hydrocarbon backbone that is called parhydrocyclopentanophenoxyetrin. Parhydrocyclopentanophenoxyetrin. So these are steroids. So adrenocorticotrophic hormone is a steroid. Now, and the function of adrenocorticotrophic hormone is to stimulate the secretion of hormones by the adrenal cortex gland. Don't forget I told you that the adrenal gland is located on top of the kidney. And I want to tell you that the adrenal gland has two layers. The outer layer of the adrenal gland is called adrenal cortex gland, while the inner layer is called adrenal medullary gland. Now, the adrenal cortex gland secretes two hormones, which are glucocorticoid and mineralocorticoid. But the function of the adrenocorticotrophic hormone is to make the adrenal cortex gland to secrete glucocorticoid and mineralocorticoid. By so doing, we say that pituitary gland has controlled the activity of the adrenal cortex gland. You can see the diagram of what I'm showing you here. The whole of this diagram is the what? The adrenal gland. So the outer part of this adrenal gland is called what? Adrenal cortex gland. This is the part that releases hormone, glucocorticoid, and mineralocorticoid. Then right inside it, we have the adrenal medullary gland. You can see this is the kidney. Then on top of it, you have the whole of this structure there. So that is that. Now, we move on to talk about the growth hormone. Now, the growth hormone, its own function is to stimulate the growth of the long bones of the body, such as the humerus in the upper arm, the femur in the lower arm, in the lower limb, then the tibia and the fibula. So these are long bones. So in a nutshell, it works hand in hand with the thyroxine to bring about basal metabolic rate that will enhance growth. But I want to tell you that the secretion of growth hormone has something to do with the environmental temperature. Now, I want to tell you that growth hormone is usually secreted when the environmental temperature is low. When the environmental temperature is low. And that is why you will see that white men, they are usually older than their age. Why? Because their environment is cold. Then growth hormone is what? Excessively what? Secreted. Now, let's go and look at abnormalities due to the secretion of the growth hormone. When growth hormone is not secreted as expected, it is secreted, under-secreted. When growth hormone is under-secreted, now we are going to have a condition called dwarfism. So we can have under-secretion of growth hormone and we can have over-secretion of growth hormone. So under-secretion of growth hormone leads to a condition called dwarfism. Somebody that is suffering from dwarfism is a dwarf. Now, a dwarf is someone that is younger than his age or than her age, but sexually and mentally mature. When you see a dwarf, you will see that he is underage. He is younger than his age, but when he talks sensibly. I know that you know these two persons, the Aki and Popo in the Nigerian movie. You can see that they are typical examples of dwarf. They are younger than their age, but they are sensible in their speech. They are mentally mature. They are sexually mature. You can see that they are married and they have children. They have everything that takes for a man to be a mature man. So that means that is the characteristics of what? Of dwarf. Look at this woman, a 92-year-old woman, which is the shortest woman in the world. So that is a dwarf. Now, then there can be oversecretion of growth hormone before the child gets mature, and there can be oversecretion of growth hormone after someone has been what? Mature. Now, when there is oversecretion of growth hormone before maturity, someone will suffer from a condition called gigantism. Somebody that is suffering from gigantism is a giant. Some people used to think that a giant is somebody that is huge. No, somebody that is older than his age. You can say an average Oyibo man is a giant. So that is because their country, there is cold environmental temperature. Now, what about, look at the picture of a typical giant. Look at this man. Look at the height of this man compared to this man. So that is a giant. Now let us look at effect of oversecretion of growth hormone after someone has gotten mature. Now after someone has gotten mature, and there is oversecretion of growth hormone, someone is going to suffer from a condition called acromegaly. An acromegalic patient is also older than his or her age, but there will be cases of a brain tumor, and the person dies young. So that will not be our portion in Jesus' name. Amen. Now, what is the remedy? The remedy consists of microsurgical removal of hyperfunctioning tissue, pituitary. So that is the pituitary gland. They will remove part of them so that the pituitary gland cannot secrete excessively the growth hormone. So the part of it producing that growth hormone will be what? Will be removed and some drugs can be taken to suppress the effect of oversecretion of growth hormone. So now, and the pituitary gland can be irradiated, can be exposed to source of radiations so that it will stop the production of what? Excess of what? Of growth hormone. Now let's go to the thyroid stimulating hormone in the neck region. The thyroid stimulating hormone has no other work than to stimulate the thyroid gland in the neck so that the thyroid gland can secrete its hormones. So the thyroid stimulating hormone, TSH, is secreted to be transported away from the pituitary gland to the neck region, where it stimulates the thyroid gland to secrete its hormone. And that hormone is called thyroxine. Although there are other two hormones that the thyroid gland secretes, apart from the thyroxine that we are going to talk about later. Now, when there is oversecretion of thyroid stimulating hormone, there will be oversecretion of thyroxine. And when there is undersecretion of thyroid stimulating hormone, there will be undersecretion of thyroxine. Now, let's look at prolactin. Prolactin brings about milk secretion from the mammary gland of a pregnant woman, and it is usually secreted when someone is pregnant. So then oversecretion of prolactin leads to excessive lactation. You will see that the breast milk will be too much. The breast will be producing too much of milk than necessary. But when there is undersecretion of prolactin, there will be insufficient production of what? Of milk. So that is that. Now let's go on and look at what I'm talking about. Look at, this is the structure of the mammary gland. You can see when there is undersecretion of prolactin, then the mammary gland cannot produce enough milk. So that is what I'm talking about. And when there is oversecretion, there will be too much of milk. Then we go to gonadotropin. The word gonad has to do with gamete-producing organs, such as the ovary in female and testes in male. Now, that will tell you that gonadotropin controls the activity of gonad, of testes and the ovary. There are two types of gonadotropin. We have follicle-stimulating hormone and we have luteinizing hormone. Now, what is the function of the follicle-stimulating hormone, which is FSH? The follicle-stimulating hormone stimulates the release of sperm by the seminiferous tubules of the testes. The particular part of the testes where sperms are produced is called seminiferous tubules. So then in female, now you will see that follicle stimulating hormone bring about what? It stimulates ovulation. It makes ovulation to take place in female. What is ovulation? Ovulation is the release of mature egg from the ovary to the oviduct. And the particular house where the egg is found is, you can see it here. Now, the egg, this is the egg. And the egg is usually surrounded by what we call granular cells. These are granular cells. In medicine, they call it granulosa cells. Now, when the egg is yet to be mature, that immature egg is called primary oocyte. Now, when the primary oocyte has become mature, it forms secondary oocyte. Now, let me tell you one thing. Both the egg and the granular cells surrounding it are collectively called follicle. Now, when the primary oocyte now develops to form the secondary oocyte, the follicle now develops into what we call Graafian follicle. And in the Graafian follicle, the egg is pushed to one corner, and you have some fluid around the egg. So after the function of follicle stimulating hormone is that it causes the wall of the Graafian follicle to rupture. And when it ruptures, you can now see that they're causing the egg to be released from the ovary so that it can go to the what? To the oviduct. Now, we have another hormone called luteinizing hormone, which is another hormone of the gonadotropin. Luteinizing hormone, the word luteinizing is a gerund gotten from a process called, from a now called luteum, corpus luteum. Now, let's go back to that diagram. Now, in this place, by the time the egg is released from the Graafian follicle, the remaining parts of the Graafian follicle clump together and form a yellow solid, and that yellow solid is called corpus luteum. The formation of that corpus luteum is aided by luteinizing hormone. That is where it gets its name, hormone that brings about luteinizing, that is formation of corpus luteum. Now, what are we now saying? And when the corpus luteum is formed, the function of the corpus luteum is to produce male gonadal hormones called testosterone and female gonadal hormone called estrogen and progesterone. Now, see something here. This is the diagram of the longitudinal section of the testes of the male. Now you can see this is what we call seminiferous tubules, where the sperms are produced. Then around the seminiferous tubules we have the interstitial cells. The testosterone is produced by the what? By the interstitial cells around the seminiferous tubules. So, and what brings about the release of those hormones is what? Is the luteinizing hormone. Now you can see this is the corpus luteum, which is the remain of what? The remain of the Graafian follicle that is capable of producing male and female gonadal hormones. So I said luteinizing hormone stimulates the release of female gonadal hormones, which are estrogen and progesterone, by the corpus luteum. So corpus luteum is a yellow solid that is formed when the remaining part of the Graafian follicle clump together after ovulation has taken place. Now let's move on and let's go to the posterior pituitary gland. The posterior pituitary gland, now I told you, does not produce hormones on its own, but it houses two hormones which are produced by the what? By the hypothalamus. So the two hormones which it stores are oxytocin and antidiuretic hormone that some textbooks call vasopressin. Let's look at oxytocin. The function of the oxytocin is to bring about rhythmic contraction of the uterine wall during child labor. When it is the time to give birth to a child, you can see this picture here. Now, this is the wall of the uterus. When the woman is about to give birth, the wall of the uterus is made to become, to be going inside and be coming outside. So to be contracting and be relaxing. So that the water bag, don't forget that the foetus where the baby is found now consists of three membranous layers, which are amnion, chorion, and the allantois. And inside, there is a fluid called amniotic fluid. So when there is contraction and relaxation of the uterine wall, then this membrane break and water start coming out of the vagina. And that process is called breakage of the water bag. And another thing that the oxytocin does is that it makes the cervix, which is the entrance that the baby's head is going to pass pass out of the uterus, makes it to become relaxed, so that the head, you can see the way the head of the baby is coming out now. So until the baby now comes out. So the oxytocin brings about what? It brings about relaxation of what? The contraction, the relaxation of the cervix. And it also brings about the contraction of the alveolus, so that milk can come out of the mammary gland. So we have that. You can see further diagrams when the child is coming out, the cervix has been what? Has been expanded by oxytocin and the head is coming out. So in Nigeria medicine, you will see oxytocin is sometimes used in abortion. Sometimes some people are made to give birth to premature babies, 7 months baby. They will be injected with oxytocin and immediately contraction will take place and they give birth to premature babies. Then the doctor will put the baby inside a polythene bag, give the owner to go and throw somewhere. So that is there. So that is one havoc of that. Then we have the antidiuretic hormone. Look at the name, anti. When we say something is anti, it means against. When we say anti-crime, it means an agent that is against crime. When we say antidiuretic, the word diuretic comes from the word diuresis, which is one of the kidney diseases. Diuresis, to be diuretic means to be urinating diluted urine more frequently. So the function of antidiuretic hormone is to stop frequent urination. So that is antidiuretic hormone. And how does it happen? For you to understand the full activity of the antidiuretic hormone, there is a need for you to know the structure of the kidney. But before we go there, what is the effect of the undersecretion of antidiuretic hormone? When antidiuretic hormone is undersecreted, it brings about diuresis. Then you start producing large volume of urine per day. Now, then when there is oversecretion of antidiuretic hormone, you produce little but concentrated urine per day. The major function of antidiuretic hormone is that it brings about reabsorption of water by the kidney tubules. Let's go and look at the structure of the kidney. This is every normal human being have two kidneys, the right kidney you can see and the left kidney. So when you cut one of them longitudinally from head down and open it, this is the internal part of the kidney. Now, then there is a wide question I've seen before. They say, which of the following is the functional unit of the kidney? And the answer is nephron. So this is one nephron. Something that connects the nephron together is called the collecting dot. Let's go and look at the structure. This is a longitudinal diagram of the longitudinal section of a kidney. In this longitudinal section, you can see this is what we call the renal artery. This renal artery, this blue, while this red one is renal vein. The function of the renal artery is to take in blood that contains oxygen. That blood is called oxygenated blood. And the function of the renal vein is to remove deoxygenated blood. But the blood that oxygenated blood that is entering through the renal artery contains impurities like urea that is not good for the body. And it also contains good things that are good, like water, like mineral salts, like vitamins, like amino acid, like glucose. Those things that are good and those things that are bad, they are there. Now, let's go and look at the nephron. The nephron, this part of the nephron is called the Bowman's capsule. The Bowman's capsule has a net inside it. That net is called glomerulus. That is where filtration takes place. Then, when it comes down, then it straightens up and coils up again to form what we call proximal convoluted tubule. Then this part that like zigzag is proximal convoluted tubule. It straightens up to form a U-shaped structure called the Henle's loop. That Henle's loop coils up again to form distal convoluted tubule that is connected to a collecting dot. So many nephrons are connected. You can see this is where this one is called. Then this nephron is now associated with blood vessels. This is the renal artery. The renal artery, when it enters the Bowman's capsule, it forms the glomerulus. When it comes out, it forms a blood capillary. And it straightens up again to form the renal vein. So now, in pure blood, enters the Bowman's capsule through the renal vein. And when it gets there, the glomerulus filters the blood. But let me tell you, they used to ask one question. Which of the following is the component of the glomerular filtrate? This is a white or jam question. And the answer is that what? All other blood components except the blood cells and protein. Because now the blood cells, the red blood cell, which is also known as erythrocyte, the white blood cell, which is also known as leukocyte, the platelet, which is also known as thrombocyte. The three of them, they are too big to pass through the pores of the glomerulus, so they remain inside the blood capillaries. Then the plasma proteins, such as the prothrombin, such as prothrombin, we have fibrinogen, you have albumin. All these are plasma proteins. You see, you have globulin. They are too big to pass through the pores of the glomerulus, so they remain inside the blood capillaries. So every other things which are good and bad. Urea is bad. Water is good. Mineral salt is good. Vitamin is good. Or they form the glomerular filtrate. They will be filtered out of the glomerulus and occupy the capsular space. But when they get to the proximal convoluted tubule, there is a need for water to go back and mix with the plasma proteins and the blood cells in the blood capillaries. But why do we have to say that the antidiuretic hormone brings about reabsorption? For one to use the word RUE before a word, it means absorption has taken place before. Where? In the small intestine. When you eat, digestion has taken place, water will be absorbed away from the small intestine via the blood villi and passes through the hepatic portal vein to the liver. And when they get to the liver throws them away to the what? To the heart, and the heart pumps it around the body. And when the one that will pass the renal artery will now go to the kidney. So, in the first place in your intestine, water has been absorbed into your blood before. Minerals have been absorbed into your blood before. But when they get to the Bowman's capsule, those ones, they are now filtered out. So, in the proximal convoluted tubule, now, the antidiuretic hormone opens the gate. It makes the wall of the proximal convoluted tubule to become more permeable. That's why we call it selectively permeable. Now, permeable to what? To water, only water. So only water will leave the convoluted tubule and go and enter inside the permeable wall, inside the blood capillaries here. So, and when the whole thing leaves, so the function of antidiuretic hormone is to bring about reabsorption of water, so that by the time they go here, they leave here, the water now can leave through the renal vein and be distributed to the body. So now we are still going to talk about there's one now again when the whole thing pass and get to the second convoluted tubule called distal convoluted tubule, reabsorption of minerals take place. And the hormone that brings about that is called mineralocorticoid. We are going to talk about that later. Later we're going to talk about that. Now let's go on. So, this is where we're going to stop this lecture for now. So I hope you enjoyed the class. So we'll see you next time. when we'll be talking about the thyroid gland. God bless you. And bye for now. I remain my humble self, Afe Ademola Johnson. Please, as you get this information, do not be selfish. Make sure you subscribe, press the subscribe button, and share this video. And as you do so, God Almighty will bless you and enrich you abundantly. God bless you, and bye for now. Thank you very much. Thank you. God bless you.